week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last thoughts, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is The Magic Mike Show. Mr. Summich, welcome back.
Thanks, buddy. Good to be back here. This is your second podcast of the day. I hope you're not too tuckered out from your previous one to bring the A game today.
Oh, no, never. No, this was that was just a little fun distraction. I didn't know it was going to be that early until about an hour before they went on, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And what Mike's alluding to, if you missed it, Blinkers Off was live earlier this morning, the morning for me, and it was Jared's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday, Jared. We did a big, Aaron and Ryan Stillman organized a birthday party trivia contest for him, and it was plenty of Jared's specific prizes that he'll enjoy. But they surprised him because the third round was Magic Mike Trivia, and I got to come on and ask the questions. And the whole idea was to make him excited, thinking he was going to win everything, and then pull the rug out from under him when I came in, and just he would lose terribly. And we were going to give him the prizes either way, but we wanted to see him really sweat. And he sweated for about 20, 30 seconds. He struggled with the what two jockey names does Mike switch around, but he got it with a good, nice guess. And then he just breezed through the other two, which I thought were going to be even harder. So props to him for that one.
Yeah, I was impressed, man. I did not think he would get the first one. The third one, I was pretty sure he would get. It was what sire do I whisper? Violence. Every time I say it. And I like that one I thought he'd get because I think I've done it on Blinkers Off. I think I actually did it during the draft last year. I was pretty sure you'd get that one. But the gray shirt one, the only time we've actually worn the same hoodies, I was impressed. I think he might have actually been traveling with Aaron and watching that day. I think it just kind of went perfect for him. But he crushed on the first one with Flavien Prat and Florent Giroux. And I'm proud of myself for getting them right that time. And I'm proud of Jared for getting the question right this morning. Way to go, buddy. And happy birthday, Jared. Hell of a prize pack you won there.
You know what I love is that you gave him the hint. You said the French Connection, and that narrows it down considerably, especially because I said top tier jockeys, so we're not considering really any of the Cajun French guys.
Yep.
But
ouch, shots fired.
But there's still a handful. I mean, he was really looking at Florent Giroux and Julien Leperoux, and I see where he was thinking where their last names both they end similarly. And I was like, and he was about to guess it. And then he just threw it up and he says Flavien Prat. And as soon as he did that, I was like, oh shit, he's going to guess this.
Yeah.
He got through. Yeah, that was good.
Well. What can you do? It was a cool idea. Good execution. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So make sure you check out Blinkers Off. If you haven't watched it, it's available on YouTube. You can also check it out on the same place you listen to this podcast, wherever that may be.
Yeah. So on today's show, we're back at Gulfstream Park. No surprises here. Another nice late pick 4 sequence, another race that's going to be a big prep for a Pegasus undercard event. So I'm excited to talk about that. Before we get into it, Mike, what's the best thing you saw this week?
The best thing I saw, I'm actually going to go with this card on Saturday. Look, Fairgrounds has a pretty good card on Saturday as well, so we might do bombs from both of those places. But Gulfstream Park comes out and announces we're going to have a mandatory pick 6 on Saturday, just to kind of, just lob one over at Fairgrounds to try and get more of the money here at Gulfstream Park. And then I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Then I look at this late pick 4. Holy buckets, man. Like, this thing is, I have a single because I have to, because I can't narrow the other races down. That's really why I ended up singling here. And man, this is just a wild sequence. And I think if you think about the pick 6, the mandatory pick 6, this being the last 4 legs of that, this thing's going to pay. Like, I don't see any way this chalks out. And I hate some of the favorites in here. I think there's some. It's a really fun, interesting sequence. So I'm excited to go over it here on the podcast, and excited to have the bombs for it on Saturday, and have that mandatory pick 6 on top of this pick 4, a nice pick 5. So yeah, this is a heck of a sequence that we're covering today.
Yeah, I don't have the favorite picked on top in any of the 4 races, and if you know Magic Mike Show, I usually have 2 to 3 top picks that end up being the morning line favorite, and that is not the case here. I do like your single. It's a ballsy single, but we like that horse a lot. So
we'll talk about it
for the same reasons. Yeah,
we'll get into that. I like him. I'm good. Not the favorite, not the chalk. Let's go. Let's get it home.
It's kind of close. The best thing I saw, I had a lot of different ideas, but it's going to be the best thing that I heard, actually. So Jared, and this kind of ties in a little bit with Blinkers Off. Jared, originally was the editor for the Magic Mike Show in its early days, in its infancy, and he was working with just dog shit because we didn't know what we were doing. The audio was terrible. Everything about it was rough. And so we'll still occasionally get teased because, we have technical issues where sometimes my internet dies right towards the end of a stream. That's a way of saying that you guys need to cut the show off. Sometimes your camera or mic doesn't work, or your USB port overheats everything. So little technical issues happen, and they kind of tease us for being, like Jared says, every time that he thinks we're about at Blinkers Off level, we have one of those mishaps, and then he says, oh yeah, that's right, they're not as good as us. So Steve Bick, you know who Steve Bick is? This guy is, he's got the national radio show on Sirius XM. Genuinely, I think more often than not is a really good listen. I have my own gripes and grievances with certain parts of the show, but it's very informative. 5 days a week, he does a really great job. He covers all coasts. He brings in small name people, especially on Mondays if they won a big race. So overall, it's a really good show. They have some technical problems like you would not believe. And if you think that we have some technical issues on the Magic Mike Show, the show that came out yesterday, because I listened to the podcast, he's done broadcasting by the time that I about wake up in the morning. He got done broadcasting, and when they posted it online, because he's got 3-hour shows. So the first hour, second hour, third hour all split up. The first hour from what they uploaded is literally the opening 18 minutes on a loop for an hour and a half. So all the guests that he had on, they were probably great. I'll never know, because the version that got posted and is still there this morning, a day later, it's just an 18-minute loop of the first part of the show. So it made me feel good that as much as the technical difficulties we haven't released a single podcast that I know of that was just the first 18 minutes on loop for an hour and a half. So we've got that going for us.
Yeah, that's way to go, Magic. I'm proud of you. Good job. No, that's crazy, man. It's funny. Like it's not as easy as everyone thinks. I mean, to get good quality, you can get shitty quality really easily. That's not hard to do. But even if you look at like the Bill Simmons show, like he has done this for how many years? Like how many episodes? And oh my God, he like forgets to plug in his mic sometimes. Other times he forgets to record himself because we record the opening. He's in the intro. He's like, "So this is how I messed up today." And it's just it's hard to be consistent to get it done. It's kind of tough. So not shocked. Steve Bick is great, like great entertainment. So I'm not going to knock it at all. And it happens, man. Like I'm not, that's why I'm not embarrassed by our technical failures.
Thanks. Yeah. Sometimes Magic picks the favorites to where it seems like it's on a loop. Not happening today, buddy. Don't worry. I got you covered.
For everybody listening live, I just punched in a late pick 4 at Los Al, so I just threw that up in the stream too. If anybody wants to tag along, I am out of the pick 6, and I'm not good at Los Alamitos, so just a little disclaimer there before we go there. But I figured I capped it, so I might as well play. That costs you $72 for $1 if anyone wants to play. If you want to single, you can single a 3 in the third leg and cut it down to a $36 ticket.
Well, see, this is why you listen live. Everybody who's watching the replay or is listening to the podcast, we appreciate you. But, if you're able to make it, and I understand not everybody's schedule makes it here, but if you're able to make it, man, these live shows, little things like this, you get Mike's pick 4 ticket. We'll see if it doesn't end up cashing, then I'll just edit this part out of the podcast and we'll pretend it never happened. There we go.
I like it. You can degen with me. So if you wonder why I'm going like this midway through when Magic's talking, now you'll all know why, because Los Al's going.
So, and that was going to be the best thing that I saw this week until the Steve Bick thing made me think, you know what, if this guy that wins awards every year for being the best possible radio program in horse racing or podcast, whatever, if his show has all these issues, then we're doing okay. The other best thing was going to be Jason Beam did this video. It's about 1.5 minutes long on his Twitter account. And he just recorded himself imitating all the different types of bettors that are at the racetrack. And so when you just did it right there, you did the lean, because it's the whole campaign is for Bet America, but it's, hashtag how I root. And, there's the people that snap, there's the people with the program whippers. You're a leaner, as you just did right there.
Well, I realize this. I play a lot of speed horses. And so often my horse is in the lead and there's someone chasing him down. And so I'm just trying to get the wire to be like a better angle, so that the nose gets there a little faster. So I lean away from the wire so the horse is getting there closer. And yeah, it doesn't really work, but it makes me happy. So got to throw that lean in there every now and then. I do think it's funny. Slim commented this. I did kind of do the boy chuck at NHC when you were going nuts, and I was just kind of sitting there in the chair like, oh my God, this is really happening. Let's go.
Yeah. And I love that he included that. Michael Vaychuk won the, I want to say 2012 NHC, whatever. It was one of the big ones. And he won it on the last race. And then he, the nice story is that he took his winnings and he bought the mare that won that race for him and retired her and gave her really wonderful story. But in the moment, and he's told this story plenty of times publicly too, everyone in the room is going nuts because they know this is the horse that he's on. And if this horse wins, he's going to win it all. And they're going nuts. And he's literally just sitting there. He's smiling. Yeah. But he's literally just sitting. He leans back and just sits and watches. And Slim said that. And I was like, oh my God, that was. I and everyone else in the room. And Samich is just doing the bait check. I got this.
No, it's surreal, man. When you know, and he knew, like you midway through, he knew, and and on the top of the lane, I knew, and so it's like you just enjoy it at that point. Like, all right, we got this. Don't even need to root.
Right. For me, it depends on. I do a lot of different things. I'll lean if I've got the horse on the lead at the 16th pole and someone's charging. I do a lean, but it's a wince lean because I'm like, oh come on, just because I know it's not going to hold on. If I'm very confident, I'll just a couple snaps. I'm like, come on, like Moonlight. When Moonlight won, I was laid back on the couch going, come on, girl. Come on, girl. Like I do, and Aaron does that too, where when he knows it's happening, it's just a way to like call him home. Yeah. My biggest thing, if I'm at the track, I'm a program slapper. I don't hit myself. I'm not Kramer, but I definitely have it rolled up here. I'm like, come on, like that. So
yeah. I used to be a program slapper. I've graduated past that route.
I'll get there eventually. You know what? Now that I've been in the industry for a bit on the working side, I don't do that.
We've got maybe show bets to pick fours. We'll get you to the proper rooting angle eventually.
That's true. You did. Yeah. All right. If you're watching us live on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, thanks for joining us. Let us know in the comments the way you like to root. Unless you're Australian, how I root means something incredibly different, but we won't get into that. Instead, we're going to get into the late pick four sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, December 19th. 3 turf races, plus a really nice dirt prep for a Pegasus undercard race. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. Cool. I almost said something live, but in case you didn't want to podcast, JD, if you're still watching, JD, I hope your wife's still doing well. She had back surgery a little while ago, so hope she's doing okay. That does not sound like something that sounds like it's like a 6-month long process to recover from. Ugh. Did you know that?
I did not. Hope she's doing well.
Yeah, I think so. I checked in with all that. All right, so let's see. Race 8. I should probably pull it up here. Okie dokie. 3, 2. All right, kicking things off for the first race of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, December 19th. Race 8 on the card. This is an optional claimer field of 10 males, 3 and up, plus 2 MTOs. I checked the weather. It looks like it's going to be pretty sunny, so I'm not considering the MTOs at all. They're going a mile and a 16th on the turf course here. Favoritism, number 12, Succeed and Surpass at 5-2. You also have the Grays Creek all the way on the rail, 3-1. This is an interesting race because if it was a mile, I think any outside horse past about post 8 or 9 wouldn't have a shot in hell. Little bit more distance in the run up to the clubhouse turn there, but I'm still not using the 12. I'm not using the 12 at all. I know you are, but probably isn't your top pick. Where are you going?
No, 12 was actually the last horse. The inside and the outside were the last 2 to make my ticket. So the 1 and the 12 ended up on the ticket just kind of as covers almost in a way. They were kind of defensive uses in both cases where I don't want them to knock me out because I do like the later half of the sequence especially. My top pick is the 2-horse Sand Dancer at 10-1. I was shocked at the morning line at 10-1 here. Didn't make any sense to me. This horse is just coming out of better races. And, I realize that you even have some optional 50, optional 80, but look who was running in these races. I mean, 4-back lost to Noble Indy. 5-back Noble Indy, 4-back Holiday, Aquaphobia, Social Paranoia, 3-back Breaking the Rules, Digital Age. Even the last race at Monmouth, the grade 3, loses to Almanar. I mean, these are very, very, very good horses. You've got low 90s buyers, high 80s buyers, which is very competitive with this field. Is very good. Like I don't mind the numbers at Gulfstream. We haven't won there, but we've got 3 seconds and a third, and the losses are to very good horses at higher levels. So I'm not worried about not disliking the track. I love the 10-1 price. And I think the setup's going to be pretty good here. This horse is able to be close to the lead if it needs to, but has kind of that tactical speed. I think it's going to be running home. And, Bravo's ridden fairly well at this meet already over the turf course. And I think everything kind of lines up for Sandancer here at 10-1. I think we're going to get every bit of that price. I think you're going to have the inside and outside horses way over bet in this situation. Because of that, I think if you go anywhere else, I think you're going to be able to do well.
Yeah, I didn't use this horse, but there's going to be a lot of horses here. You could use. You talked at the top of the show how difficult this sequence is going to be. The biggest issue I had is that Sandancer is on an 0 for 13 streak with only 2 seconds and 1/3. And you highlight there's a lot of big horses. By the way, we couldn't remember the name of this horse on Monday. Gadoo. That's the horse that Slim loves. It was because as soon as we ended, I went, it's Gadoo. I know I had to throw it out there. I didn't use it because of that issue. It's been since July of 2018 at Monmouth since this horse won, but has been keeping good company. And 10-1 especially, I'm with you. I think you're definitely gonna get that price. I did make the rail horse Grace Creek my top pick here. I wasn't sure which horse I liked the most to put on top, so I ended up going as Chad Brown. As a highly paid OXO equine horse. Tyler Gaffleone's going to be aboard for the 3rd straight time, but I like that this horse, as a 2-year-old, 3 starts, barely got second in one of them, misses his entire 3-year-old season. Bring him back as an intact 4-year-old because they wanted to say, we still think he might be good enough to someday be a stallion prospect. We know that OXO Equine's trying to build up his stallion and his broodmare prospects. So the fact that they brought him back intact and then struggled at Gulfstream Park going a mile, but then breaks the maiden with Gaffleone at Churchill Downs, repeats that at Keeneland. I liked that it came especially at Keeneland because even this summer you had a lot of good horses there. So Gaffleone's going to be aboard for the 3rd straight time. Those buyer speed figures keep improving. You're going to need more improvement out of this horse from what his best numbers are. But to take a page out of your book from last week's show, late in the 4-year-old season, coming off of a long layoff, we should see some improvement. And if anyone's going to be able to get that with him, it's going to be trainer Chad Brown. So that's why he was my top pick.
Yeah. For all the reasons you said are the reasons he made the ticket for me. I don't like this horse, but I can see why he would win. And that's where the real struggle came for me in this race. I wanted to not use this horse. And up until about 5 minutes before the show, I actually didn't have the 1 or the 12 on my ticket here. And the main reason I ended up adding him was because of that likely improvement angle. He could get a pretty good trip here. I'm afraid he's going to be way back, which is a problem. And so if he falls way back and has to try and rally around this field, I'm a little concerned. But the thing you didn't mention is that last quarter last race. Yes, he won at Keeneland, but he came home in the last quarter in 23 and change, which is very good for that mile time. They went 113 and came home in 136. It's hard to make up ground when they're coming home that fast. So because of that effort, I'm going to then go ahead and say, all right, I'll take a chance here. He needs to improve his buyer by close to 10 buyer points. That's a massive jump. I mean, we're talking about over a 10% jump here. It's not logical improvement to get that big of a jump at this short of a layoff, but again, it's Chad Brown, it's Gaffleone, and I'm going to talk about the Brown Gaffleone horse in the next and why I really like it. This horse was all out to be able to get both these wins, the last 2 wins, whereas the horse the next wasn't even trying and got both of those wins. So I think this might be a horse, if you're trying to go short, I wouldn't use this one horse, but because I'm going to go deeper here and single the next leg, I did end up using the 1.
Who else did we use? I know we both like the 7 Grand Journey a little bit, right?
Yeah, so the 7 was my other must use in this spot. I just think this is just a great spot for Grand Journey. I mean, my one concern here is that Vasquez is up for Maker when Maker could have, obviously Ortiz is here, Gaffleone is here. I mean, you have a lot more of the traditional Maker jockeys, but Vasquez is the one who gets them out. Although I think Vasquez actually fit this horse pretty well. Horse loves Gulfstream Park, 6 for 11. Distance a little bit of concern, 1 for 6, but that includes a career best buyer 91 over this turf course. When Maker claimed him, Maker claimed this horse and took a big time shot in the Kentucky turf, right? That was just way over this horse's head. So just draw a line through that. Arklow, Red Knight, Zulu Alpha, this horse was not going to compete with those. Now going back to that 1/16 distance, which he seems to like pretty well, going back onto Gulfstream, everything kind of lines up for this horse to just keep improving. And that's what he was doing every single start in 2020 before that last start where he tries to go 1.5 miles. 7 to me is one of those where I think he's going to get ignored compared to a couple others in here, specifically the 1 and the 12, but I think he is a better horse than the 1 or the 12. So the 2 and the 7 were the must uses for me. And the other horse I really liked in here was one that beat the 7, and that's the 3 horse. 3 horse is Scraps, getting Paco Lopez aboard, who is by far the best jockey that this horse has ever had. And that's one of the big keys for me here. The horse is also 9 times in the exact out of 15 starts at Gulfstream Park. And again, it's a 4-year-old later in the season that's been consistently improving almost every single start. Well, has off since this last layoff. And prior to that was doing better and better at Gulfstream Park. I just like this horse's consistency and these high 80s buyers. I think if you have a little bit of improvement and Paco pushes the horse forward, you get that low 90s, that this horse fits at 10-1. So I'm going to take a shot with the 3 Scraps as well.
Man, I looked at Scraps. I considered it for that exact reason, and I think I argued the same point last week's preview. Is Paco being aboard when he's the best jockey is going to make me think. I mean, if this horse didn't have a shot, yeah. I didn't end up using, but he was. I mean, I'm not going to hate you for picking it. I think ultimately what drove me away is that the horse hasn't won in 2020. This will be his 4th start of the form cycle. His last 2 came at Gulfstream Park West, including one against State Breds, and he was right there. But the fact that he got out kicked at Gulfstream Park against State Breds, and now we're going into this spot against Open Company. It's not a stakes, but I think this is a tougher group than what he faced. That's what scared me off. But again, Paco Lopez, I agree with you. Best jockey that's been on this horse by far.
Yeah, I'm hoping that heading back to the Gulfstream Park turf and being able to get back to the mile 16th is what really helps him out. You'll also notice that he had a couple trainers, and it seems like Alvarado took him a couple races to get this horse into shape. And so I'm hoping that 4th off the layoff, 4th within the Alvarado barn is going to be where we see the best effort for Scraps here. And look, I like the 10-1 price. And like I said, if I'm against the 1 and the 12 here, and I think a couple of the other prices are going to float up, I'm going to want to include them. And I feel like getting Saez and getting Paco and getting some of these top jockeys on horses that are at prices is a pretty good deal for me. So I'm going to end up 5 deep here. I'm going to play the 1, the 2, the 3, the 7, and the 12. Spread a little bit, and hopefully we can get a nice, $20, $25 winner home here in the first leg.
Well, speaking of Luis Saez, this is the 3rd and final horse that I used. I'm going to use the 4 Kingmeister. Luis Saez at 6-1, a little bit of a price. Bodemeister is 13% overall as a turf sire. His Damn Gold Doro was grade 3 placed and had 4 wins on the turf, so there's plenty of background here. What I like is that Cortland Farms, they took all their horses away from Mark Hennig. I don't like that. That was a pretty messy thing. They were blaming him for not getting a lot of wins. Mark Hennig is one of those guys that does things the right way. So, yeah, he wasn't cheating. So they took horses away from him. But they put this one with Shug. And the first thing Shug did is he put him on the turf for the first time. And then he tried putting him on the turf a second time, and it gets rained off, and he gets the win. Scratch out that Belmont race where he faced Empty Tomb and Backside of the Moon, who, by the way, are the 2 headliners in the Aqueduct Dirt Stakes on Saturday. And then you think about the turf races, that 89 buyer from the off turf race. If he can match that on the turf or get even better late in this 3-year-old season, I really like that Shug put him right on the turf. It tried him on the dirt because he won on an off turf race and says, no, turf is going to be the best thing for him. And so switches him back over there. So that's why I used him. I like 6-1. I like Luis Saez, who doesn't, this will be his 4th mount in the last 2 years for Shug, but he has been on this horse before and he knows him a little bit. So that's why I used Kingmeister, but he didn't make your ticket. Why not?
I looked at him a long time. I just couldn't get there, and I have a little distance concern with this horse. I think that mile is probably about as long as this horse wants to go, which is odd since it's Bodemeister out of a Magna de Oro mare. I mean, the horse should want more distance, but you see the 6 furlong race to start the career. Then he goes a mile twice, and sticks at a mile, and then cuts back to 7 furlongs. And those mile races seem to be a little bit weaker than a 7 furlong race. And then you have that mile and a 16th effort at Belmont where they weren't exactly burning the track up early. And he really backed up. He ended up running last in that field. And, it doesn't, I don't really care how many lengths he finished back because he clearly just faded after being on the lead. I'm more concerned that he went 47-4 and couldn't get a mile and 16th. That to me is a problem because you're going to have to be able to go around that speed and be able to get this mile and 16th. And this is, if he tries to go on the lead, I think he's going to have to be right there or faster. And I'm not sure he can get the distance if he has to do that.
Yeah, he definitely has to answer that question. Real quick, I want to talk about, there were 2 horses I wanted to talk about in this race to highlight. One of them is going to be the 11 Army Scout. I'm not playing this horse because Roger Affield, the trainer, is not good off of a long layoff. However, this Affield is 20% second time off a long layoff. So I'm going to pay attention to Army Scout to where he shows up next because I think he's got ability. He's by Warfront out of Take Charge Lady. And if you don't know who Take Charge Lady is, she's the dam of Will Take Charge Indy, and Charming. And the name Charming might not mean anything to you, but she herself is the dam of Take Charge Brandy and Omaha Beach. And who is Omaha Beach by? Warfront. So there's a little bit of the same cross happening here with Army Scout. Again, I'm not touching because I think this horse definitely needs one off the bench, but watch where this horse goes going forward. He's been keeping good company, so pay attention to where he goes. Did you consider him much at all?
This is one of those that I looked like, if I had the guts to chuck the 1 or the 12, the 11 would be a horse that I would use. I agree with you. The numbers off the layoff aren't great, and that's definitely a concern. But this horse only has one effort on the turf. That was his career best effort, running a 77 Beyer. The extra distance shouldn't be any problem at all for this horse. I think it's really interesting this horse shows up in this spot. Atfield's a pretty high percentage trainer. I shouldn't say that. He's a solid trainer. He doesn't just put horses in places just to run them, especially when they're like when it's this type of an allowance race where you think that he's going to be able to take this as a move forward. Additionally, look who this horse faced last time out, endorsed. And, you had Ortiz up. I mean, like all the signs are here that this horse has talent. It just needs to put it all together. And so it's going to be interesting to see if it's able to put it together here. But much like you, I'm a little scared off by the layoff. I do think this horse is much more interesting second out. But I wouldn't be shocked if this horse wins on Saturday.
I'll be mad because I talked him all up, and it's kind of like the Ivar thing where I'm like, well, I'm not going to do it first time, but next time I'm going to do it. And that ended up.
Yeah. How'd that go for you?
Not well. The 12 succeed and surpass, you did use him, but we can just talk about him for a quick second. My biggest reason, I had 2 issues against him. I hate the outside post. There are 2 MTOs, so he's going to be breaking from post 10 before any scratches happen. I don't like that he was 1 for 8 in Southern California, which we have talked about ad nauseum, is a weaker turf division than what the East Coast has been doing. He did go to Saratoga and Belmont for Grand Motion. Proven strategies beat him. He's proven to be a good horse. Doswell won that second race. Doswell was second in the Fort Lauderdale last weekend, and then he wins. But that win at Woodbine was against non-winners of a certain dollar amount in the year, so I'm a little skeptical how good that was. And again, just going back to the fact that he didn't really seem to catch on beyond just 1 win, breaking his maiden in California. That's what worried me. But you've got Grand Motion, you've got Irad. This horse clearly has talent.
Yeah, he ran into Mo Fuerza twice in California, and no one was beating Mo Fuerza on the turf last year in California. And this horse was running good seconds and thirds behind him. So that to me was more of a Mo Fuerza problem than a succeed and surpass problem, because Mo Fuerza was just in fuego. I mean, you couldn't touch that horse last year, late in this year in California. So I'm not going to hold that against him. I think this horse has the ability, but the post sucks. It's really going to have to work out a trip, because this horse is a tactical horse too. It's not one that can either go right to the lead or fade all the way back, which is how you get around having that post. In this case, it's likely that we're going to see this horse hung 3-4 wide on that first turn and then have to work out a trip from there.
Yeah, we'll move on to the second leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, December 19th. Race 9 on the card. This is the $100,000 Via Borghese Stakes. Field of 9 fillies and mares 3 and up, going 1 mile and 3/16. So they're starting at the top of the stretch, going all the way around into the wire. Favoritism is on the number 8, Always Shopping, at 5-2 for Todd Pletcher. You also got number 9, Great Island, at 3-1. Mike, my first question. Who the hell wants the lead in this race? It took me 5 minutes to figure out who I even thought might be on the lead. And no, I'm not betting you, because I am not confident that I got the right answer.
I think the 2 horse is the one who's going to end up on the lead here. And that was actually my second pick in this race, and almost made the ticket. But I'm going to single here. And I'm going to go all the way to the outside and single the 9 horse Great Island. Unlike the Chad Brown in the last race, Great Island's last 2 races are visually stunning when you watch them. This horse absolutely aired fields without even trying. And then you go back to the 2019 debut at Keeneland, where Great Island lost to Mean Mary. That's the only loss of this horse's career. This horse hasn't tried yet, so I'm not as worried about the Beyers. The stretch out shouldn't be any problem. It's a daughter of Scat Daddy. We're getting the first in the 4-year-old campaign off the layoff. Chad Brown, Gaffleone's back up. I realize the Beyers aren't quite where they need to be to win this race, but I have a feeling this horse is going to absolutely air this field. So I'm going to single up Great Island and try and get through here with a 3-1 single.
Well, I love Great Island. She wasn't my top pick here, but I am with you on why you would single her. I think it's a great look. I think it's interesting that, and I realized this after handicapping, last Saturday, Todd Pletcher had 4 winners on that card, and he has 2 in this race, and we're both playing against both of them. So I feel like we're playing with a little bit of fire here, but I did like her. I put on top, actually, the 3 horse Court Return. This is a horse who's late in her 4-year-old season. she's a half to grade 1 winners channel maker in Johnny Bear. And those horses all developed late. And if you look at this filly, she didn't break her maiden until July of her 4-year-old year. So again, family develops really late. But once she got that maiden broken, she's looked really good. I love the fact that she was in the grade 1 EP Taylor, missed by a neck to Etoile, who was a really good Chad Brown horse. Secret Message was behind her. She's faced Cambier Park. She beat Gun Society, who's showing back up in this race. Josie Carroll's pretty confident. The buyer speed figures are all improving at the right point. Getting Luis Saez, I think, is going to be a big fit. It is just a different class test. I know that was a grade 1 race, but it was a grade 1 race at Woodbine. This is going to be a little bit of a different test for her, but I don't have any issues with the distance for her. The EP Taylor is at 1.25 miles. This is going to be just a half of a furlong shorter. So she is my top pick here. I know you singled. What did you think about the 3?
So the 3 was my third choice in this race. I have class issues with this horse. That was my main problem. I'm not using Gun Society, who ran close to this horse 3 back. And I also just don't trust the buyer out of that EP Taylor. We've talked about how graded stakes buyers sometimes can be a little funky. And she has absolutely nothing that backs up the fact that she can run a 91. And so for me, you have to kind of validate that, especially when you do it at 40-1. I'm not really interested in you facing a better field at 6-1 next time out. So this is one of those horses where I can see why you'd use it. I have it in the deep ticket column for me. This to me is not the spot to play this horse, because I think you're facing better first time out of the States, first time trying to validate a buyer at a worse price than you got last time. So when all of those things kind of add up, it pushes me away from using this type of horse on a ticket.
Makes sense. It seems like we saw this race because the same way, because we have the top 3 horses. You just put the 9 on top and singled, because I did use the 2.
Yeah.
2 was the last horse for the same reason that when I asked you who's going to be the speed, you were like, I think the 2. So do I. I think the 2 is going to get out there. And if this horse is able to just really settle and get a nice, easy, comfortable lead going this distance, she's coming out of a 1 3/8 race that she almost won. She lost to her stablemate, Muta Makina. Clement's not going to put her here if he doesn't think she can handle it. Distance is no question. Second start of the form cycle, 7-2. I don't love it, but Junior Alvarado works really well with Clement, 22% with a positive ROI. So I definitely use the 2. And honestly, a lot of it's because of that lone speed factor that you mentioned. Yeah,
and it's going to be interesting to see if that actually plays out. And the reason I ended up singling the 9 and not being as concerned about it is this is what I'm going to call New York speed, where they kind of dawdle sometimes. I mean, she went 52 in that race where she was on the lead. You're not getting a 52-second half mile in this race. The race before that, I think it was the race prior to that where she was also on the lead, she went 49 seconds. And that was at 1 mile and a 16th. 1 mile and 16th at Gulfstream, you're going 46 or 47. So it's a very different type of pace. It's going to be interesting to see if the 2 horses, now the track is also faster at Gulfstream, so naturally they're going to go a little bit quicker. But I'm interested to see if the 2 can hold the lead going that type of speed over this track.
We'll move on to the third leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, December 19th, race 10 on the card. This is the feature race, the grade 3 $100,000 Mr. Prospector Stakes. This is the local prep for the grade 2 Gulfstream Park Mile on the Pegasus World Cup undercard. Field of 12 males, 4 and up, going 7 furlongs on the main track. And Mike, my first reaction when I saw this field was, holy shit, this is a grade 3 after what we saw in the Cigar Mile last week. And then I realized a couple of these horses were entered in the Cigar Mile and scratched because it was sloppy. They're definitely going to get a fast track on Saturday. Favoritism is on the number 7, Diamond Oops at 3-1. You also have Forense Fire at 5-2. Diamond Oops, your defending champion. Where are you going on top?
Now, this is a tough race. I'm going to use Diamond Oops on top. I mean, I think the Diamond Oops and Forense Fire are deserving favorites here. I think both of those are horses that you almost have to use if you're playing this ticket. And so I'm going to end up using both of them, and they are my must uses in the 7 and the 9 because I think they are the most logical winners. They're horses that are clearly classier than the rest of this field, have faced better in their previous races, and have shown out at this level. Forense Fire, I always kind of I never really know what to do with this horse in a lot of spots. Obviously, the horse loves Belmont. The 7 furlong distance should be pretty good for this horse. So I think you kind of have to use it. I don't love the price on Forense Fire at 5-2. I think that's a little bit short. I think that would be my main reason to fade it. But I think you kind of have to use both of these. But I do see prices in here. I do see ways around them. So I'm going to use the 7 and the 9 on top. Are you using both of them in your ticket as well?
Neither are my top pick, but I think they need to be on, if nothing else, because of class. These two outclass the rest of this field. So, yes, I did use them. We can move on.
All right. So, who is your top pick then? I'm interested to hear this. I'm wondering if we're letting the same next horse.
No, this is where our paths diverge here.
Oh, what book is that from? Two Paths Down the Road, right? Is that
It
a
was
poem?
Robert Frost, wasn't it? Isn't that Robert Frost?
That sounds good. Yeah, it's Robert Frost. See, look at this. We're a cultural show here. Well, I'm going to take the path straight to the 12-horse Mind Control, who has a classic Mike angle here where his last couple races have been total shit, so I want to play him. That's all it is. If you look back at Mind Control's past, the races he's run, one at Saratoga going 7 furlongs, what he's done over fast tracks. You have these mid to high 90s buyers that this horse consistently runs. You get Velasquez back on him. Throw out the last at Keeneland. He just ran a dud. I'm fine with that. Let it go. The track was a little wet. It wasn't completely dry. So I'm going to use that as my excuse. You had the sloppy track 2 back in the forego. That's why this horse doesn't run well there. Let's get back to the fast track, get back to 7 furlongs, and give me every bit of that 15-1 price. You got to be kidding me. 15-1 is a joke. This horse should not be anywhere near 15-1. We're going to be able to go back to some of those races and pull one of those 9,900 buyers out. I think this horse is going to be flying late, and at 15-1, this is the time to be on him. That is a huge overlay for Mind Control. I'm not sure Mind Control will go off at 15-1, but if Mind Control goes off at 15-1, that's way longer odds than it should be in this spot.
15-1 would be the highest price of his career, except for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile when he was routing, and that was the one time they tried routing and immediately said, nope, he's not a router. So, listen, getting back to the fast, I love Mind Control. I didn't play him, but I just generally like he's such a fun horse because he makes those finishes. You remember the Jerkins last year?
Yeah.
How he it was literally the head bob. He got down on the wire, and then he did it again the toboggan. This horse just
I wasn't happy about either of those, but I remember them.
Well, he just has an idea of when to time things, and I'm with you. Scrap the forego and the Carter from this year. He hates the slops. I was surprised he ran in the forego because after Carter, Sacco was like, well, he hates the slop. Yeah. He's getting Velasquez back again. They seem to work well. I'll help you out a little bit too. The Lafayette Stakes, there's a few horses in this race coming out of there. The Lafayette was weird because there was that really unfortunate breakdown that happened just past the top of the stretch, and half the field had to pull up and check out to avoid getting into any kind of problem. So a lot of those horses I'm willing to chuck. Mind Control, I don't remember, honestly, where he was in that. I did not want to watch the replay. He's 5 for 11 in graded stakes. He's 4 for 9 at the distance. 47 flat for his workout to get into this race.
Just magic. Keep it going.
Him up because I love this horse. The times that he's been on fast tracks this year, he hasn't looked like the same Mind Control that he looked like last year. So this is, and I'm with you, 15-1. This is the time to get on Mind Control. I don't feel like he's been the same since March, and that's why I'm against him.
Excellent. I'm excited about that. I'm happy that you literally just talked about Mind Control for 3 minutes, and now he's going to get in the winner's circle on Saturday, and you're going to just be cursing at yourself. I can't wait for this. This is going to be great. This is why we do the show.
It's worth noting that the Velasquez and Sacco were 4 for 10 together, all 4 wins right there with that horse. So that one more thing to help you out there, Mike.
Just keep them going. Come on. I'll be here all day. Just keep throwing those accolades at Mind Control.
Well, since you asked who I put on top, I'm going with the 4 High Call. I'm a big fan of this horse. He's definitely not a router. So you scrap the Wood Memorial from last year. The Gulfstream Park mile, something must have gone wrong because we haven't seen him since February. So he's got a long layoff to come back from. Todd Pletcher is taking over from Kieran McLaughlin. And you're going to hear me say this a lot when we do Gulfstream. Kieran McLaughlin is Luis Saez's agent now. When Saez gets on a former McLaughlin trainee that was doing well, I'm giving him a big boost. He beat Mind Control in the Gotham Wave. I mean, this is almost 2 years ago, but he has beaten Mind Control before. He's won at this distance before. Saez is going to be about. I like that I'm getting 6-1. I thought that he'd be about 4-1 here. So 6-1 to me is value. Saez and Pletcher work really well together. 26% at Gulfstream. So I put him on top because I think that this is the race where if he wins, you're not getting anything close to him to 6-1 on him again. But I think this is a prep for that Gulfstream Park mile, and Pletcher wants to see if he thinks he's got that horse that could win that race.
Yeah, I'm not into High Call. I think High Call, he needs to take too big of a step forward to be able to compete with this field in my mind, and I think he needs a mile, not 7 furlongs. I just don't think this is long enough for him. The Gotham is a mile. That's where he beat Mind Control. I think that 7 furlongs distance is going to make the difference there, and I'm a little bit worried that this is kind of a prep for High Call versus the end result for High Call. And so for me, I'm not sure we're going to see him completely. I don't think we're going to see 100% on Saturday. And if we don't see 100%, I think it's going to be very difficult for him to be able to run with the other horses in this field.
Yeah, he has been working well, but again, there is that big question mark to come back from. So we'll see. You have one more horse left to talk about.
Yeah, let's just throw a bomb out here. What if Zenden gets the lead and doesn't stop? That's pretty much my case. Zenden's breaking from the 11 post. This horse loves Gulfstream, loves sprinting, loves going fast. And we're at Gulfstream and we're sprinting and we're going to try and go fast here. So why not try and steal this? I mean, if you look at the Fred Hooper, the grade 3 he ran last January, or this January 2020, goes out and takes the lead going 22:44, almost runs them off their toes and ends up running second to Fat Man, who's in a lot of the different running lines here. This horse ran twice at Laurel Park and now is shipping in for this off of 2 lackluster efforts. I mean, that's the thing too. You're coming out of a race where the horse didn't run that well. We're pulling the blinkers off, which is, by the way, how he ran entire career before the last 2 starts. So I see that as a positive. And you're turning this horse loose against this field. To me, if this horse ends up in the race, this is your clear speed because you have no other choice. And this horse gets brave every now and then. I mean, if you go back and look at some of these Gulfstream races, this horse gets brave. He's got 2 wins over this course in 6 tries. He's got 2 seconds as well. He was in the Tampa Derby. He was in the Lexington. This horse was well thought of early in his 2-year-old, or early in his 3-year-old career. And now we're getting him back here as late in the 4-year-old season, third off a layoff. The fact that we're removing the blinkers off, which is a 20% move for the trainer and something this horse clearly wants to do, tells me that this is a live long shot at 30-1 who can take this field wire to wire. So I'm going to go out on a limb and hope that at 30-1, this horse gets the lead and doesn't look back.
With I didn't use him, but you make good arguments for him. I think that my biggest reason was I didn't think that he had the speed to hold on at 7 furlongs against who all he's facing in here. Like, is Frenzy Fire going to let him get off like that? Is Sleepy Eyes Todd going to suddenly be the Charlestown Classic horse that wired everybody on that stupid bull ring? Like, what kind of a trip he's getting? He might end up wiring him. And if it's one of those cases where, I sit here thinking there's going to be 6 horses all fighting for the lead and the other 5 back off, Zenden's the one that goes and gets brave.
Don't forget that the last time, like, he was in this race last year, and he faced XY Jet, and that's why he didn't make the lead last year. They went 21-4, 43-4 last year in this race, and he held on decently well. Ended up losing to Diamond Oops and Lasting Legacy, who were both here by 6 lengths. But considering what he did early and the work he put in, he did well. He got bumped hard at the start as well by XY Jet. I mean, he had a ton of trouble in that race. Still ran well in the Fred Hooper out of it. I'm hoping this horse can return back to that Gulfstream Park form, getting back to the track he wants to run over and removing blinkers again. Again, I'm taking a swing here, but at 30-1, I'm willing to take that chance.
Well, I'm taking a chance on the 6 horse, Last Judgment. This will be my last horse in. 20-1 on him. Maker first off the claim is 16%. This is interesting. Maker is 16% off the claim. Doesn't matter the surface. And I checked specifically in DRF Formulator. Nope, it's the same no matter what the surface is. So that, because I'm with you, I would have thought it was turf was better for him. And then I thought, well, what about dirt stakes? Because he'll usually claim and throw them into a turf stakes. He's 16% in dirt sprint stakes, 18% in dirt sprints overall. I also like that on December 5th, first work after Maker claims him. I'm sorry, second or third work after claims him. The first real serious one for this one, 59-1 at Palm Meadows. So this horse has got some speed. He's got some kick when he needs it. That last race that he's coming out of when he beat Pete's Play Call by a head, Pete's Play Call won his next race and got a 92 buyer for it. So it wasn't like that was a complete throwaway. He beat somewhere that came back and got a 70 buyer. And Jared, this was Jared's top pick on Blinkers Off when they covered this race. And he kind of was able to convince me that, he and High Call are going to be coming from the clouds. And if one of them gets a bad trip and the other one doesn't, I think they're both going to be flying late. And Jared, when he picks long shots as his top pick on Blinkers Off, they tend to run really well. So I'm kind of playing that hunch angle as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk you off this horse. I think this horse is a live long shot too. I looked at this one for a while as well. It was interesting when it was in the Pletcher barn. That's what he was claimed out of. Ran that 91 back at Saratoga, going 7 furlongs and be able to win. Has faced some very good horses in the past, including Network Effect and Vacoma, Mr. Money. I mean, this horse has faced a lot of winning horses, and so I agree with you that this horse is a live long shot. When you look back at broke its maiden running an 89 in 2019 as a 3-year-old. I mean, there's upside inside this horse. It's whether or not you're going to see all of that come out here. Maker, obviously, first off the claim is never a bad thing. But again, I'm a little concerned that it's Vasquez that's up and not, Irad or someone like that if he thought this horse was really live. that being said, they're on mounts that they're not going to get off of in this spot. So it's not shocking to see someone like Vasquez up, and Vasquez and Maker 26% with a positive ROI. So all those reasons, I wouldn't talk you off Last Judgment at 20-1. And this is another one I think you could include on the ticket. Like if you don't like my speed angle on the 11 and you want to throw the 6 on my ticket instead, I wouldn't tell you not to. I mean, it's all about how you want to kind of structure this thing out. I think that the key for me is really that single in that middle leg. And if we get the single 9 home, you can really move the horses or the pieces around the other 3 legs and try and work something out for a big ticket.
Well, one of the fourth and final leg of the late pick 4 sequence at Gulfstream Park on Saturday, December 19th. Race 11 on the card. This is a field of 11 juvenile males, all maidens, going a mile on the turf course. Favoritism is all the way on the outside. Number 11, Munkad? Monks? I like to say Munked, personally. It's a lot easier. He is 3-1. Number 9, Public Information, is 7-2. Number 5, Ultimate Gift at 4-1. Mike, last week on the final race, I took a stand against 2 Todd Pletchers in a turf route. I'm doing it again. I am chucking both the Todd Pletchers in this race. We'll see if lightning strikes twice in the same sequence for me. Where are you going on top?
Wow, I'm pulling the magic. I'm chucking the Chad Brown out of the last race. Chad Van Klarovich, Irad, why would you use him? Get him out of here. Throw him out. I'm using 11 on top. I thought Monk actually fits really well in this spot. This is a very difficult race with a lot of really interesting 2-year-old horses. Mm-hmm. This one has a little bit of run in it, which I like. I like the fact that we've started before. Is the Son of Warfront that hasn't touched the turf yet? WTF, Todd? Come on, buddy. Let's get this horse on the turf already. I mean, this horse should take a pretty big step forward here. And its buyer is almost the best in the field anyway, with a 64 buyer. I think 68 is the top buyer in this field coming into the race. So I kind of like it. And I realize that the outside post isn't what you want, but this is a speed horse. So I'm not even that worried about the outside post because I know this is going to be a forwardly placed horse, so at most will be 2 wide stalking in the first turn. So the post draw doesn't concern me. I think the pedigree moves this horse forward on the turf. And I this is a homebred from Shadwell by Warfront. Come on. Like I feel like you almost have to use it in this spot. And since I'm going with the favorite on top, how about I use my other must use is 20-1 on the line. Let's go to the 3-horse Kentucky Pharaoh. First time American Pharaohs on the turf. How's that angle for you? Pretty good, let me tell you. Leparoux decides to stay on this horse for the 3rd time, even after 2 lackluster efforts. Kind of like that. If you note in DRF, they show that closes were favored after that 22 and change, 44 and change opening first half, which, by the way, this horse was just a couple lengths off of. Again, this horse I think will be forwardly placed in this race. I think moving to the turf will be a big-time step up. And if that's not enough for you, check out that workout on December 13th. 47-2 going 4 furlongs around the dogs, 4 out of 49 that day over the turf. Absolutely blistering workout. I think this horse has speed. I think this horse is dangerous to go wire to wire. And I think the 20-1 price is absolutely nuts on the 3 Kentucky Pharaoh.
Well, what do we talk about after True Timber won the Cigar Mile? We're like, listen, Jack Sisterson does things the old school way, the right way. He races horses into shape. He doesn't, juice them up or try to screw around too much. I'm with you. It wasn't my top pick, but I am 100% with you on Kentucky Pharaoh. His Dam Strut the Course was a multiple grade 2 winner in turf routes, so he's got that going for him. And look who he's facing on the dirt. You might not know the names Caddo River, Mandaloon, or Bob's Edge, who broke his maiden in his start after losing. Caddo River and Mandaloon, there's some interesting Derby prospects. I would not be surprised if we saw both of those horses go in the second. Maybe they'll last till the 3rd round, but definitely 2nd round in the Racing Dudes Fantasy League. So he's been facing really good company. And I'm with you. American Pharaoh moving over to turf. Plus, now we're going to route. We're going sprint to route. And Sisterson's, first time to turf, 0 for 32. He's 1 for 36 going dirt to turf. But in route races, 13%. He's an 11% trainer. So route races at 13% tells me he knows how to get horses built up to run into shape and be able to route. So for everything that you said and more, I'm with you on Kentucky Pharaoh, man.
I love it. So yeah, the 11-3 are the 2 must uses for here. I ended up going 5 deep. How many did you use here, Magic?
I went 3 deep.
All right. Well, do you want to give? I'll give my 3rd, and then did you use one of my horses?
I did. My top pick is one of your horses. You want me to go that way?
Yeah, go for it.
Number 2, American Tryst, 10-1. Tyler Gaffleo, Michael Maker. Usually I can just stop there. They're 19% together. But this is an American Pharaoh who was debuted on the turf, sprinting at Kentucky Downs. Went to Keeneland, stayed in the race even though it was rained off. Draw a line completely through that. Yep. What's notable about that race, however, is that the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place finishers all broke their maidens in their next start. One of them did on turf, 2 were on synthetic. So that is a sneaky good race that he's coming out of. Clearly, Maker wanted this horse on turf from the start. The Keeneland thing was, we got the horse ready. Why not? We'll see what happens. Now we're getting 10-1, which is the best price that you can get on this horse in his career so far. The horse that won his debut next won 2 straight, broke the maiden, won the next race, went to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And speaking of the Breeders' Cup, this horse has an older half brother that Coolmore owns, who was second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. And it was quite a few years back. I want to say 2015, 2014. It was a while ago, but there is plenty of talent for handling the turf and for routing. So it also helps that Mike Maker is co-owner. These are Paradise Farm and Sky Kai are 2 of his bigger clients. Mike Maker doesn't usually own with them, and he's in on this horse. So all those reasons I love him. Did I miss anything?
No, the ownership angle is one of the ones that was huge for me. I thought the fact that Mike Maker owns a piece of a $280,000 2-year-old, that's a big deal. I mean, he's not one of the trainers who's going around spending, like throwing out buku bucks left, right, and center. So for the fact that he owns this piece of this horse told me a lot about it. I love that Kentucky Downs race 2 back. I think that was a great race to learn in. The horse broke at 4-1, so it was touted in that race as well. I agree with you. Throw that Keeneland race out. Pharaoh's got a pretty good wet Tomlinson, American Pharaoh, so I'm guessing why they decided to run him and see what happened. I expect this horse is going to take a big time step forward from that first effort. I'm not sure if it's going to be big enough to win, but I do expect that this horse to be right in the mix, and because of that reason, that this horse was the 4th horse on my ticket out of the 5. I like the 4 horse. He's pure gold. I mean, this was the 3rd horse in for me. That 64 buyer first time out, I thought was really impressive. He kind of made this middle move and then got into a weird spot around the turn. Was 70-1 in that race. Wasn't really supposed to do very much. Now we get this second start here, so you got a little bit of work into him. We're coming second off the maiden now, and I like that last work at Prairie Meadows. It wasn't super fast, but it's consistent, and this horse is clearly in shape here coming into this. Vancouver is a very good turf sire. You got Smart Strike on the bottom side. If this horse can take a step forward off of that last race, I'm really interested in what this horse does. You also had Risk Manager and Hard Knock in that race, who are both good horses that ended up in front of him. So because of all those reasons, I like the 10-1 on the 4 horse as well as a price. My last horse in is the other Pletcher. And the main reason is because I'm using the 11 horse. I feel like I got to use the 5 horse. And the 5 horse is a first-time starter ultimate gift. This is a $350,000 son of Pioneer of the Mile for Rapoli in St. Elise Stables. Pletcher's the one who ends up in his barn. He's 21% first-time start, but only 11% first-time out at a mile. That's kind of the reason why this is the last one on the ticket for me. But the fact that size is aboard kind of drew me into it, and the fact that it's a Rapoli horse who generally does pretty well when it's Pletcher's, I felt like this was one you kind of had to include on the ticket if you're going to be 5 deep. I'm kind of surprised we're both fading Chad Brown here. So the 9, Public Information, Clarovich Stables, Irad Ortiz, Chad Brown, Into Mischief, first time on the turf. For me, it was because they started this horse out on the dirt with Rosario, and now we're going to the turf in a race that I'm guessing he didn't think would come up as honestly, as tough as this race came out. I didn't love this horse's workouts. I didn't love this horse's last race. I didn't love how they kind of started this horse's career on the dirt. For all those reasons, I stayed away. Did you have the same feelings? Is that kind of why you stayed away from the 9 as well?
Similar feelings. This was the last horse on my ticket. I only went 3 deep here. But yeah, then I got a big red note that says it's really odd. Chad started him dirt sprinting. Into Mischief, they run little on anything. He's 14% in turf routes, but it's very odd that with Keeneland's many options for turf races that they couldn't find a spot for this horse. He's worked out pretty okay since then. It's nothing that really kind of jumps off at you. The Palm Meadows work 2 back 48-2 on the turf was nice for this level, but nothing that makes you jump out of your skin. Chad, this is really connections play. It's Chad, it's Irad, it's Klarovich. Chad's second start maidens are 32%, so it's hard for me to go against him. But I understand why you'd want to, specifically because of that dirt sprinting angle. He also has siblings that are 0-3 on the turf. The dam was 0-1 on the turf. She was graded, stakes placed in a dirt route, so maybe that's why they were trying to do dirt with him. But still, if anybody knows what a freaking turf horse is, it's Chad Brown. So it's very odd that this horse didn't start on turf, and at 7-2, especially, I could see why you'd want to play against.
Yeah, and that was the thing was to me the fact that like Chad Brown is not afraid to start horses on turf. And so for me, it's just absolutely nuts that we decided to start this horse on dirt. And the fact that Rosario was up too was kind of a head scratcher for me. I agree. I realize Rosario's a great jockey, not knocking him, but always Chad's top horses are IRAD with Klarovich. It's you never stray from that. And so because this horse didn't get IRAD, it tells me this wasn't one of the better Chad Brown Klarovich horses. And so then
was IRAD able to go to Keeneland? That was in October. I'm trying to remember, honestly. I can't remember if he was not permitted to go to Keeneland.
I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what. Irad and Klarovich had a string in Saratoga where Irad was. Like, there were other ways they could have gotten this horse out with Irad if they wanted to. And so, like, I realized a lot was going on. And yes, it was at Keeneland, and maybe the horse was ready to go, and Irad couldn't be there. But there were opportunities to be able to get this horse out there. So for me, the fact that Irad was not on this horse first time out is a red flag.
The next horse in for me that I didn't use is the 6, Not Stormy. And I wanted to talk about this horse because this is almost the exact same scenario for the horse that won the finale last week. This is a Tom Bush trainee who debuted at Belmont, wasn't bet very much. They put the bug jockey Marquez on him. Then they bring him down to Gulfstream, and Zayas gets up. And it's 20-1. It looks like a long shot that I didn't use, but did you catch that? Did you notice this is the exact same thing as Mira Mission last week?
Yep. I looked at all of those, and 2 reasons why I didn't use the horse. I literally am like, wow, this is a little bit of deja vu. Especially it was Marquez to Zayas even. But yeah, 2 reasons I didn't use this horse. First off, that was a restricted maiden special weight, which means it had to sell for less than $45,000 to be able to enter it in that one up in New York. And secondly, this race is a lot more salty than the last race last week. Like, it just, like, last week it was kind of like, okay, we're throwing darts because the talent level isn't quite high. This time the talent level is high. It's who's going to bring it. And so I'm a lot less confident that a horse like this can rise to be the cream of the crop when I think that the crops are significantly higher in this race than they were last week.
One last note on your 11 horse. If there are enough scratches to where because my big thing was literally just the post. That was what scared me away from the horse, was being stuck too far out. But if there are a couple of scratches and he moves in, I'm going to drop the 9 and put the 11 on, because he's also he's a half to Shagath, who won his first 3 career starts and then went to the Kentucky Derby. And he's bred on the same cross as Civil Union, who won the Flower Bowl. You might remember that one. And then 2 grade 3 winners. And when I say bred on the same cross, it's by Warfront out of an Unbridled Song mare. So very, very similar genetics here. So plenty of good family background there too. It's literally just the post that scares me away.
So just hammer the straight $25 double Mind Control into Monk there, and you'll be good to go, right? That's what we're learning. The 11, the 12-11 double is pretty much gold in the last 2 races at Gulfstream.
All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the Magic Mike Show. Mike and I are going to go ahead and give out our tickets one last time. If you're watching us live or on the replay, thanks for joining us. Look down below. Got the tickets right here just in case you missed something. I'll go ahead and start things off. I'm going 147 with 239 with 4679 with 239, $54. More expensive than Mike because he's got the balls to single. Take it away, bud.
Yeah, had to find a way to cheapen this puppy up, and so we're going to do that in the second leg here. So I'm going to play a 50-cent ticket: 1, 2, 3, 7, 12 with 9 with 7, 9, 11, 12 with 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. That'll cost you $50 for 50 cents. Oh, no. I think we're out of the Low South. Pick 4. Bummer. Oh, well. What can you do?
I got a little breaking news here from one of our listeners. R7 says Aqueduct is closing for 10 days following the Sunday card. Is that weather related, I wonder?
Oh, it has to be, yeah. I mean,
I know they've been canceling tracks all over the country right now because of that.
They got like 20 inches of snow in upstate New York this weekend.
Oh, that's right. Slim sent us that photo, didn't he?
Yeah, so I'm sure that is definitely weather related.
Okay, well, shit, this is like COVID, except now it's weather related. It's worse.
Take your money to Gulfstream, man.
Money at Gulfstream, San Anita.
San Anita opens up in 9 days.
Gulfstream. That's literally it. It's just Gulfstream now. Oh, yeah, San Anita did 9 days.
Living in it, baby.
Perfect. Well, we want to thank you guys so much for joining us. We're always here Mondays and Thursdays, 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. Join us live if you're able to, if you can. We love to interact with you guys. So thank you so much for joining us. I am at Curtis Coward. He is at Somobomb 18, number 108 Corporate Orwell, at Racing_Dudes. Remember, go check out Blinkers Off. It was a really fun show. Their picks are in the second half. The whole trivia thing is the first half of the show. So you can enjoy that as well. Until next time, I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
Good luck this week.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.